You know that feeling, right? That cycle of frustration. You start some new routine, you're full of energy, you're totally committed, and then a few weeks later, life gets in the way and it just fizzles out. Well, you are definitely not alone. So today, we're going to break down exactly why that keeps happening, and more importantly, how to build habits that are actually designed to survive the chaos of real life. All right, let's get into it. I mean, this is the real question, isn't it? It's not like you don't want to do it. You want to exercise or write that book or meditate. But when you're feeling completely overwhelmed and your calendar is just a mess, trying to stick to the plan can feel, well, impossible. The good news? The reason it feels so tough probably isn't what you think it is. And this, right here, is the main idea we're digging into. Just let that sink in for a second. The problem isn't a lack of willpower, it's a design flaw. See, you've probably been trying to build routines for this ideal, perfect day version of yourself, the one who has all the energy and zero interruptions, not for the real you who gets tired and stressed and just plain busy. Okay, so let's start by totally dismantling the biggest myth in self-improvement. This idea that the answer is to just try harder. We're always told that if we just had more discipline, more grit, we'd succeed. But honestly, that whole approach is fundamentally broken. Do any of these sound a little too familiar? Yeah, this is what I call the intensity model of habit building. It's all about going big, being absolutely perfect, and never, ever, ever slipping up. And while that sounds amazing in theory, in the real world, it's just a recipe for burnout, not for consistency. And here's the crucial point. A habit that needs perfect conditions to survive is incredibly fragile. It's like a house of cards. It works great when you're feeling motivated and well-rested on a Monday morning. But the second stress hits, or your schedule gets blown up, or you just don't feel like it, the whole thing comes crashing down. Life is messy, and our habits need to be built to handle that mess. Okay, so if it's not our fault, then what is the real problem? Well, it all comes down to the system you're using, or maybe the lack of one. Let's look at the actual design flaws that make our best intentions completely fall apart under pressure. Now, what's so interesting here is how all of these things feed into each other, right? We start way too big, which means we need a ton of motivation just to get going. Then we rely on that feeling instead of actually setting up our environment to help us. And then, when we inevitably miss a day because it's just too hard, our inner perfectionist kicks in and tells us we've failed completely. It's just this vicious cycle. And this comparison just lays it all out perfectly. Motivation is an emotion. It's a fantastic spark to get you started, but it is a terrible foundation to build on. It comes and goes with your mood, how you slept, your stress levels. A system, on the other hand, is a process. It's repeatable, it's reliable, especially on those days when you have absolutely zero motivation. The habits that last are built on systems, not on feelings. So, how do we actually fix this? We have to stop trying to be more disciplined and start being better designers. So let's get into some practical tools you can use to create habits that are flexible and resilient enough to actually survive in the real world. This is rule number one, and honestly, it's the one most people fight against. Our brain screams at us that a tiny 2-minute habit just doesn't count. But that's thinking about it backwards. See, the goal isn't to have one amazing workout today. The real goal is to still be a person who works out a year from now. And for that to happen, the habit needs to be so small that you have zero excuse to skip it, even on your absolute worst day. And this is exactly how you put that rule into practice. For every single habit, you define 2 versions. The full version for good days, and this minimum version for the tough days. Now, the minimum version isn't about getting big results. It's about protecting your consistency. Because showing up for 5 minutes of stretching is infinitely better than doing nothing. Why? Because it keeps the identity of I am someone who exercises alive. All right, next up, let's make your new habit pretty much impossible to forget. Don't rely on your willpower or some alarm on your phone. Instead, you're going to link your tiny new habit to something you already do automatically every single day. Like, after I brush my teeth, I will stretch for 2 minutes. The old habit becomes the automatic trigger for the new one. It's so simple and it really, really works. And this is huge. You have to stop thinking of this as a daily battle of wills. Instead, start thinking like a designer. Ask yourself, how can I set up my space to make the good habit the path of least resistance? Lay out your workout clothes the night before. Put your book on your pillow instead of your phone. Your goal is to make the easy option the right option. So we've got the practical tools, but there is one final critical piece we need to put in place, and it's all about your mindset.
We basically have to completely redefine what success even looks like when it comes to our habits.
This question, how long is my streak? It is a total perfectionist trap. It turns your goal into this fragile, unbroken chain. So the second you miss one day because you got sick or had a family emergency or you were just exhausted, the whole thing feels like a complete failure. The streak is broken, so why even bother? This right here is the exact moment where most good habits go to die. Now, this is the reframe that changes everything. The true measure of a strong habit isn't that you never ever miss, it's how fast you get back on track. Life is always going to throw curveballs at you. Success isn't about avoiding them, it's about building the skill of returning to your routine quickly and without all the drama. So here it is. This is your script for the next time you miss a day. You don't need any guilt. You don't need to scrap everything and start over from scratch next Monday. You just say to yourself, I paused, now I continue. That's it. You just remove all that emotional weight and shame that makes restarting feel so heavy, and you just take the next small step forward.
And that leaves us with this final, really powerful question. If your habits keep failing you, please stop blaming yourself. The problem isn't you. It's that the habit was designed for a life you don't actually live. So instead of beating yourself up, become a designer. Ask yourself, is this habit small enough? Is it flexible enough? And is it supported enough to actually survive my real, messy, beautifully imperfect life? When the answer is yes, that's when it finally sticks.